Hey Tamers, and welcome to another deck list. Today we got the power of freezing with blue flare. If you used to play Tommy with the blue hybrids back in the day, this is similar. You can freeze. So blue flare is pretty nasty. It is really up there. It's one of the top tier decks for sure. Let's get started. So for the babies, I am still unsure, still playing around with them, but I'm doing 3 Upamons and 2 of the babies. You don't need to run 5. You see that I usually run 4. This is really your preference. I'm still testing it out to see which one I like better. Upamon, if your opponent has a Digimon with no Digivolution sources, when you attack, you can draw one. Baby, when your opponent has 2 Digimon and you attack, then you can draw one. They're both really situational. I do have stripping power, so I do prefer kind of the Upamon. The baby also, if they have 2 Digimon, it doesn't matter of their sources that they have. So they're both situational, so it's just whatever your preference is, to be honest. With the rookies, of course, we're playing 4 of the Gaussmon from Bt10. This one, on deletion, you can play a level 4 or lower with blue flare and its trait suspended. So this one is really good. You really don't care if this one gets deleted. You know, you can just bring it up or you can hard play it. You can swing. If it doesn't get deleted, that'll be really hard. But if it doesn't get deleted, you'll just keep chipping away. If it does get deleted, now you can play another Digimon for free without paying for its memory cost suspended. The only downside is it's suspended, but still it's a free card that you're playing anyway. And then since a lot of the blue flares do have save, it really doesn't matter if they get popped because now you're adding sources to your tamer. Next, we're running 3 of the Sayakomons. This one is good for a Jesmon matchup, especially if they have that Master to Disciple option card where they can reduce play cost when you Digivolve. That stops it. And obviously any other deck that reduces Digivolution cost, not play cost, keep that in mind. I was playing and for some reason I thought it worked against Death X, but it doesn't. So just keep that in mind. It is Digivolution reducing, not play cost. Then we're running 3 of the Madoki Betamons. You stop your opponents from gaining memory from Digimon effects, from option cards like Memory Boost. And if you go against a mirror match, then their Blazing Memory Boost won't have that delay effect, so long as you have Madoki. So Madoki is pretty good. Then the last 2 rookies that I'm running 2 of the Jamming Vmons. I did try out the Gabumon, where you on-play, you draw a card to kind of help with drawing power, but you don't really need it because you do have Blazing Memory Boost. So I wanted to have a little more aggression, and then I think these 2 Vmons are perfect because it has jamming, so you can swing without being, scared of getting deleted. And your opponent is forced to deal with this Vmon. It's going to help your security be there longer, if that makes sense, right? So they're either going to have the choice of swinging at the Vmon or swinging at security. And if they swing at security, now next turn, okay, well, I'm just going to swing again. So it really does put that pressure of like, okay, I need to get rid of that Vmon before it keeps doing more damage to me. So this is my rookie lineup, and let's move on to champions. For the champions, we're starting off with 4 of the Bt10 Greymon. So Greymon, on play, you reveal 4 cards from your deck. You get to add 2 cards with blue flare and its traits among them to your hand. Place the rest in the bottom of your deck. Then if you have a Kiryu on play, you can get a Metal Greymon from trash, which is phenomenal. Because this deck is kind of like the X4, where you can kind of keep doing loops in a way, but not as frequent, I should say. Greymon is part of that loop that we'll talk about. And then his inherit is 1 attacking if this Digimon has blue flare in its traits. If your opponent has 2 Digimons or more, you can unsuspend once per turn. So now you can basically swing twice so long as you have a blue flare in the trait and your opponent has 2 or more. So the whole gimmick with this deck is your opponent having 2 Digimon or more. Moving on, we got 4 of the male Birdramon. Bt10, on play, if you have a Kiryu, you may return 1 Metal Greymon from your trash to your hand. If you don't have a Kiryu in play, you can play it for free. So pretty nice. Then on deletion, save, and I forgot to mention Greymon also has on deletion you can save. The inherit for the male Birdramon is when attacking once per turn. If this Digimon has blue flare in its trait and your opponent has 2 or more Digimon, you can freeze, stun. So this can help you go for a game if you have it as a source, especially if they have blockers. I'm running 4 of those. Moving on, we're running 4 of the Decardramon, and Decardramon is actually pretty nice. At face value, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, but he's actually pretty good. On play, you draw 1 card, then for each of your Digimon that your opponent has, you draw another card. So it could be up to, you draw 3 cards, 4 cards, depending, obviously, how many Digimon your opponent have. On deletion, you have save, return it to the bottom of one of your tamers. All turns, if your opponent has 2 or more Digimon, your Digimon gets 1000 DP or more. What's pretty cool about this one, it doesn't specifically say blue flare in its traits, so it doesn't matter. Next, we're running 2 of the Greymon that has security attack +1. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, you don't need to run this. Yes, it adds aggression, but since this isn't blue flare, there's a lot of cards that look for blue flare when you reveal from your deck, and sometimes it'll be one of them and I can't pick it up because he is not a blue flare. So really, it's kind of like, yes, it's good when you get it in your hand or you draw it, but the chances of that are not that good. If you don't have this Greymon, you can definitely run the security Greymon. That way, if it's in security, it gets played for free. Or you can do one better. You can play the one that gives you DP as an inherit. I think it gives you 2,000, 3,000. I'll put it right here. So now your Metal Greymon will get more DP and more likely survive. So honestly, maybe that one might be better, but obviously the security attack is better because then you're able to save and then you return those. We'll get into the combos. So 2 of those Greymon, and then to top it off, the last 2 champions that I'm running is 2 of the Kumamon, just to go hybrid for game. So when I do draw this card, I keep it until I can attack for game. And not only that, it also helps you with stripping. So once you digivolve on top of a tamer, you can strip. That is my champion lineup. Moving on to the ultimates, we are running 4 of the Metal Greymons. This Metal Greymon has material save 2. On play, this Digimon gets rush. And if you digicross, 3 of your opponent's Digimon with Digivolution cards less than or equal to this Metal Greymon can attack or block until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this one, really, you're going to be playing it by digicrossing a Greymon and a male Birdramon, so that's where that security attack 1 Greymon comes in play. When you do attack with it, because you'll play it and it gets rush, and you get security attack +1, you swing, if it dies, you save those 2 materials, and there's your loop. You have another Metal Greymon, play it again, rush, and boom. So Metal Greymon is good for chipping away damage, and it doesn't really matter if you get deleted. That's kind of what I like about this deck, is you don't really mind if your Digimon gets deleted. And then the last level 5s that I'm running is the Decker Greymon. And honestly, I think I like this card better than Metal Greymon. We'll get into it. So it has Armor Purge. Then it has On Play and when digivolving. You may place 1 Digimon card with Blue Flare and its traits from your hand, or from under one of your Tamers under this Digimon as its bottom Digivolution card. Then, if Decadramon is in its sources, one of your opponent's Digimon can't attack or block until the end of your opponent's turn. So that's pretty nice. You digicross 2 Metal Greymon and Decadramon, and the whole Armor Purge thing is just nasty. What's nice with this one is it could digivolve on top of itself. So digivolving from level 4 costs 4, digivolving from level 5 costs 2. So there are your level 5s, that is all I'm running, just 8. Which is pretty standard. Moving on, disclaimer, I am not running Magnamon X in this deck list just because I wanted to try something different. I've seen a lot of people already make deck lists of it. I kind of want to do it just in case you don't have Magna X, or if you do. But again, this deck is not running Magna X anybody. So moving on to level 7s, I'm running 2 Death X Mons. If you don't know what this does, is for every Digimon and Tamer your opponent has, it reduces the play cost by 3. So eventually you can even play this for free, or even by like 7, 5. On play, or when digivolving, de-digivolve 1 of all of your opponent's Digimon, then delete all of your opponent's Digimon level 4 or lower. And at the end of your opponent's turn, once per turn, delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost. So Death X is pretty nasty. I'm sure you're well aware of Death X by now. Now, if you don't have the Death X-Mon, because I know he's expensive and not everyone has access to getting Death X-Mon, then I would actually suggest you run the Magna X Antibody and replace it with these 2. So that's it for the level 7s. Moving on to Tamers, I'm running 4 of the Kyrios. So Kyrios just good because he's a memory set Tamer, right? So no matter what, you're always going to be at 3 memory. Then when you would play 1 Digimon with Digicross requirements, by suspending this Tamer, you may place cards from under your Tamers as Digivolution sources for Digicrossing. So 4 of the Kyrios are really good. And then top off Tamers, I'm running 3 of the Sora and Joes, just because you want to strip. So Sora and Joe is going to help you be more consistent at freezing with Decker Greymon and Metal Greymon. That's why I'm running 3. If you don't know what these Tamers do, is start of your turn, if your opponent has a Digimon with no Digivolution source, you gain 2 memory. So now if you have Kyria and Sora and Joe, you can go up to 5. The good part about this is when you attack with the blue Digimon, you can suspend this Tamer to trash 2 sources underneath one of one of your opponent's Digimon. So Sora and Joe is going to help you, you know, be able to pop off Upamon's effect. Pretty easy. And there we go. I am just running 7 Tamers. Just 7. Still a high count. Then for option cards, of course we're running 4 of the Blazing Memory Boost. I just think you need to run 4. You could probably get away with 3, but 4 is phenomenal. So when you play this card, reveal 6 cards from the top of your deck, add 2 cards with Blue Flare, and if a Kyria is among them, you play it for free. So now you're basically getting to play this one, Kyria, and get 2 cards with Blue Flare just by playing this card. And revealing 6 is a good amount of chunk from your deck. Then Delay, you gain 2 memory. Then Security, you can just place it in the battle area. So even if it's in Security, now these are going to start building up. And now you can use these to go into Digicross or, you know, just hard play, whatever you need. And especially because the Greymons are kind of, you know, a bit expensive to play, those kind of help mitigate the high play costs of some of these cards. So 4 of those Blazing Memory Boosts. And then the last card that I'm using, I'm just running 1. I am playing 1 Kakaida's Breath. This one, I'm still not too sure. So for example, where I think this card would be great in is if you have a mirror match and you run into a Magna X Antibody, you can play this and then just send it back to their hand and all their sources get trashed. So that's kind of my thought process of why I was running Kakaida's. Of course, for, you know, if a Death X or, you know, anything else that they play. So having some sort of removal here, I think still is pretty good. So that's it for my options and the whole deck. Let's get into some combos. Alright guys, so combo 1, let's say you only have a Kyria, you have nothing else. You have 0 security, they need 1 more hit, they do have one Digimon on their side of the field. And what you can do here is you can Digicross. So now we can Digicross for 3, go into the Greymon, Male Birdramon, and go into Metal Greymon for 3, because you're reducing for every one that you do, so it's 2, 4, minus 7 is 3. And now you on play, you're going to get Rush. And now assuming they have the same Digivolution cards, now you can stun up to 3, right? And now when you swing, you can stun another one if they have 2 or more. You can unsuspend if they have 2 or more. So now there we go, it's stunned. You can even swing again. Or if you're scared that it's going to die, honestly, you don't even have to swing, but you could Digivolve, right? You can stun, you know, let's say you can only stun 1, or you can't stun any because they have more sources. Now what you can do, you can just Digivolve for 2 into the Decker Greymon. And now let's say you draw a Decker Dramon or you already had one. Now from his effect, when you Digivolve, you can place Decker Dramon underneath. And now you can stun that Digimon, preventing it from, you know, beating you the next turn. Another scenario here, let's say you have these 2 Tamers and you're still at 3. Or, you know, even maybe this one sets you at 5, right? You go to 5. So now, kind of the same thing, you can Digicross for 3. You're going to go to 2, you go into that Metal Greymon, you draw, you attack, maybe you want to attack one of your opponent's Digimon. You can, you know, obviously unsuspend if they have 2. You can freeze another one if you can. And then what you can do, you can Digivolve for 2 and then draw. And now, I thought you weren't able to, you know, swing because he got played. Now that would be true. However, reading in this TCG is key for, you know, all the matchups, right? So if we read closely, it says on play this Digimon gains Rush for the turn. So now you play this Metal Greymon, it has Rush for the turn. It doesn't say this Digimon has Rush. So now you Digivolve into the Decker Greymon for 2, go to 0. He still has Rush because he got it for the whole turn. It's still your turn. So now you can use, you know, when Digivolving and put Decker Dramon underneath. And now you could stun something else. So then after you do that, you can swing. And then you can still trash sources. And it's still your turn, right? Because you're at 0 now. You can go ahead and Digivolve into another Decker Greymon for 2. And now you can stun something else. It's busted. So you can see how these Decker Greymons. And then now if it gets deleted, this is why I kind of don't think it really matters if you run Magnamon X. Because if it gets deleted, now it's just going to go back because you have Armor Purge. And now he has Armor Purge. Okay, that's fine. And now we have the Metal Greymon again. And now if you have another Decker Greymon in your hand, now you kind of do it all over again. So that's why I don't think Magnamon has to be run in this deck. I can see how good it is, but just the fact that you can stack these Decker Greymons, it kind of does the same thing. Of course, you just can't force it to attack you, you know. Then not to mention if the Greymon is actually this red Greymon, because you can digicross with that Greymon as well. Now you're attacking for security attack +2, so pretty busted. Now let's say you have 6 memory. You have 2 Soras and Joes or just 1, but somehow you end up at 6. Now what you can do is you can go ahead and drop Metal Greymon Digicross for 3. You're gonna go to 3. And now you have the inherent security attack +1. You go ahead and swing because you have Rush. You can use Sora and Joe to strip if you need to. And now if this Metal Greymon dies, you have material save 2. So now these 2 would go down here. There we go, this gets deleted. And you still have 3 memories, so now you can go ahead, suspend this, and digicross these. And now you have another 3, and now you're chipping away. Then if he survives, or if you just want to stun, you can just stun using Metal Greymon's effect. You already stripped sources. They should have 2 sources at least. And now you're just going to go into Decker Greymon and stun something else. Even if you have 1 blazing memory boost and you're at 3, you could still do the same combo that I talked about with digicrossing, right? So you'll digicross for 3, right? And now if he doesn't die, you can pop this, do that, go into Decker Dramon for 2, draw, still your turn. Or if you don't want to do that, what you can do is when you're at 2, if this dies and you do have a Tamer here, now this saves. Now what you can do, right, you saved it. Now what you can do is do the blazing memory boost, go to 2, play male Birdramon, leave them at 3, especially if they have a Tamer, they're going to end up at 3 anyway, but it's better than leaving them at 5. We'll end up at 3, you have a Kyrian play male Birdramon's effect. Now if you don't have a Metal Greymon in your hand, now you got this back. And even if this gets popped, or if it doesn't, you have 2 sources here for next turn to go into your Metal Greymon, and then you swing, and then repeat the cycle. So give this deck a try. It is very fun. So those are a few combos. I can't give everything away. And if you guys like this, please do me a favor and like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. I'll appreciate it, and it will go so far helping my video go to other people so they can also view this content. And I leave you here with 2 more deck lists that you guys can watch. And I'll see you guys on the next video.